Welcome to another episode of Top Comic Stories, where I share to you the most intriguing and interesting comic stories from both Marvel and DC Comics this week. So if you don't have the time to read comic books anymore, hopefully this short video would be enough to cover the best comic stories this week. Grab a snack, seat back, and enjoy.
3 things Deadpool did that makes him smart. Number 3. Deadpool uses a fake baby to trick Daredevil. While Deadpool and Daredevil fight on a rooftop, he tricks Daredevil by pretending to drop a fake baby, distracting Daredevil, making Deadpool win this fight. Number 2. Deadpool survives the apocalypse by being a hive mind. In a post-apocalyptic world overrun by zombies, Deadpool ingeniously turns the tide by infecting the undead with his own essence, ultimately merging with the zombie horde to become a hive mind. Number 1. Deadpool kills the whole Marvel Universe. Deadpool takes down some of the smartest and strongest characters in the Marvel Universe by outsmarting them in a brutal way.
You'd never guess who is Batman's new Robin. In the Batman and Scooby-Doo Mysteries number 2, Scooby-Doo and the gang stumble upon Solomon Grundy in a place called Slaughter Swamp. This, however, is only a fake zombie. A real one is too much for them. Fortunately, Batman shows up, already investigating the situation. As Batman and Velma work on solving the mystery, putting the pieces together, Fred and Daphne notice that their friend Velma is on a different level. Batman has been a hero for a long time, and he also has a whole team of sidekicks, and Velma would fit right in with them. Did you know that Captain America's son is the Red Skull? In the Ultimate Universe, Captain America and the Red Skull have a unique relationship. In this world, Captain America is actually the Red Skull's father. Cap's girlfriend, Gail Richards, got pregnant unexpectedly and kept it a secret with the government's help. Since Captain America was missing and presumed dead, the child was put up for adoption and raised in a secret facility. This kid got all of his dad's cool powers, but felt like he could never live up to his dad's legacy. At 17, he escaped and went on a rampage, killing lots of government agents. He even carved off his own face and became the Red Skull, causing chaos everywhere. This guy trained Batman, and now the Joker! When the Joker becomes desperate, he will do anything to win. In Batman number 142, a few months after Joker's dip in the chemical bath, he's still struggling to adjust. Sadly, he realizes he can't go back to his old life. Fear struck him when he sees Batman out on patrol. Feeling broken, Joker talks about the intense fear he's been dealing with since he changed. Then, Dr. Daniel Capcio shows up. He's a new character in DC Comics. Capcio offers to help Joker get better, but when Joker questions his qualifications, he learns that Capcio has trained Batman before. So the Skrulls can copy superhuman power? This is what happened when the Skrulls tried to copy Deadpool's powers in the Secret Invasion story. It took a bunch of heroes to fight back against the Skrulls, and one of them was Deadpool. Deadpool might seem like an odd hero because he's usually a mercenary who keeps his feelings out of his work. But when the Skrulls attacked, Nick Fury pushed Deadpool to help. Fury sent Deadpool to sneak onto the Skrull ship. When the Skrulls copied Deadpool's healing powers, it backfired on them. Their bodies couldn't handle it, and they ended up dying from too much cancer growing in them. Deadpool's healing powers are special to him, so they didn't work right for the Skrulls. In the end, Deadpool finished his mission and saved the day. You wouldn't believe who the Blue Lantern ring chose as its new owner. In Smallville continuity number 9, Earth is in trouble because of the Monitors. This leads to a fierce fight between the Justice League and the Monitor Army, and many heroes and villains died, including a Blue Lantern who came to help. While Batman and Barbara Gordon, which is actually Smallville's Nightwing, argue, as Barbara was saying, the main difference between her and Bruce is hope. The Blue Lantern ring chooses her to be its next candidate. This is the first time a version of Nightwing gets a Blue Lantern ring, which makes sense given her hopeful nature. You wouldn't believe what happened to the Bat family in the future. Batman discovers his family in a very horrible situation. In Batman number 143, we get to see the future where the Joker has taken over the world. He uses a sound virus that turns people into laughing copies of himself whenever they laugh. Batman goes after the Joker and ends up at the police station in Gotham City. There, Batman meets up with Catwoman. She tells him a big surprise. She's been looking after the Bat family because they got hit by the Joker's virus. We see Damian Wayne all grown up and wearing his Batman costume, and Dick Grayson is still being Nightwing. It looks like Tim Drake hasn't changed much and is still Robin in the future. How do the Amazons of Themyscira reproduce? To keep the Amazon race going, the Themyscirans go on ships and have babies with men. After having babies, they kill the men and toss their bodies into the sea. 9 months later, some are happy to have daughters, but others feel really sad for the boys. The Greek god Hephaestus made a deal with the Amazons. He gives them weapons, and they give him the boys to work in his forge. Wonder Woman tries to save her brothers, but they tell her not to, saying she's making a big mistake. They remind her that if it weren't for Hephaestus, they would have been thrown into the sea and drowned. This is the strongest Scarab in the DC universe. Not only will we find out who's the strongest, but the other has to die. In Blue Beetle number 6, Jamie is fighting the Blood Scarab. The Blood Scarab, Ka-Efri, hates the Reach Scarab, Kajida. This Blood Scarab beats up all of Blue Beetle's friends. The Blood Scarab is actually controlling a guy named Javier, who doesn't want to be bad and fights to get free. When he does, it makes Jamie do something he really doesn't want to do. Jamie ends up having to hurt Javier really badly because the bug on him makes him do it even though Jamie is begging it to stop. By making Blue Beetle hurt someone, his own bug buddy betrays him in the worst way. This son of Wolverine has better powers than his father. Jimmy Hudson is the son of Wolverine and a witch who works as a secret agent and is married to Magneto. Wolverine asked his old friend James Hudson to take care of Jimmy, and nobody knew the truth about Jimmy's parents until he was in high school. Jimmy got all of Wolverine's powers and even more. He has 3 bone claws on each hand, just like Wolverine, but he can also cover them in metal whenever he wants. His claws aren't made of adamantium like Wolverine's, but his body makes a strong metal substance to cover them. His claws can cut through steel easily. He even covered his teeth and whole skeleton with this metal stuff, making him one of Wolverine's toughest kids. You wouldn't believe DC's ultimate anti-Superman weapon. The weapon is not even from the DC universe, but stolen from a different franchise. The Justice League is stuck in the middle of a huge fight. On one side, there's Tiamat, a super big monster, and on the other side, there's the Kraken, which is a giant sea monster that Aquaman knows. Luckily, Flash keeps Tiamat busy, while the Kraken holds Godzilla down, so the Justice League can tie up the big lizard. At the same time, other superheroes are fighting more giant monsters all over the place. Lex Luthor has been busy too. He put back together Mechagodzilla, a giant robot version of Godzilla. Lex connects his brain to Mechagodzilla so he can control its super strong weapons. Wonder Woman versus Darkseid's daughter Grail. It will be finally decide who is DC Comics' strongest Amazon. In Wonder Woman number 6, the big bad plan is finally revealed, and Wonder Woman has to fight a bunch of tough enemies she's faced before. She goes up against really strong villains like Giganta and Silver Swan, but her hardest fight is with Grail. Grail is super powerful because she's half god and half Amazon, and her dad is the DC's baddest villain, Darkseid. Even though Grail almost beats Wonder Woman doesn't give up and shows everyone she's the strongest Amazon in DC Comics, even if she doesn't completely win the fight.
This is how Spider-Man turns into a villain. Peter Parker's time as a bad guy in Amazing Spider-Man was short, but it's getting us ready for one of his coolest stories in a long time. In The Amazing Spider-Man number 34, Spider-Man's becoming more like his villainous foes. After getting stabbed by a spear full of Norman Osborn's evil, he's thinking about hurting his enemies in really awful ways, like burying Kraven the Hunter alive. And he plans to do more, like throwing Otto into a nuclear reactor and feeding Eddie his own brain. Spider-Man even wants to hurt Mary Jane's boyfriend, just like the Green Goblin hurt Gwen Stacy by throwing her off a bridge.
The Incredible Hulk is a real simp for this woman. Hulk is super strong in the Marvel universe, and usually he's like a wild monster that can wreck everything. But there's one woman who can actually control him, and it's not Black Widow, it's Spider-Woman. She's one of the strongest spider people in Marvel, and she has this special power to send out pheromones that can control men's minds. These pheromones work really well on Hulk. She can even stop him from smashing things and just tell him to chill out. When he's under her control, she even got him to make her a sandwich once. That's why she's Hulk's best buddy and friend. The Avengers needs a Hulk, but Marvel thinks She-Hulk is a better option than Bruce Banner. In the sensational She-Hulk number 5, after their girls' night goes wrong, Captain Marvel, Hellcat, and She-Hulk end up at the remains of Patsy's favorite bar. Despite a demon invasion, the night was actually Carol's way of reaching out to Jen to ask her to join the Avengers officially. Captain Marvel tells She-Hulk, "You're strong, you're smart, and you'll keep me honest," Carol explains, adding that sometimes I think we're all too willing to let the ends justify the means. Despite all this, Jen still needs to reflect as she really wants to be an Avenger again. You wouldn't believe who Black Panther's new wife is. Now that Storm's out of the picture, it's time for Okoye to serve his king. In Ultimate Black Panther number 1, story starts off with T'Challa as the king of Wakanda, ruling alongside his queen, Okoye. Heard that right, they face an invasion threatening Wakanda, and Okoye stands by her husband and king as they make tough decisions together. As T'Challa struggles with enemies and trusting his own family, Okoye continues to support him. Fans of the MCU know Okoye as a tough warrior who never wanted to be queen, but now she has the chance to help Wakanda as their queen and show her love for T'Challa. Hope you enjoyed the stories in this week's episode. More stories to come next week. Subscribe so you don't miss the episode when it drops.